Everyone, welcome back to Tableau tutorials. In this video we are going to discuss about the creation of the scatter charts in Tableau. We have been covering the different visualizations that are possible in Tableau. Up till now we have created a large number of visualizations like pie chart, the column chart, bar chart, etc. In this video we would be working with the scatter charts. Okay, so first of all, let's understand what is a scatter chart. If you go to this particular show me tab, then right now none of these charts are activated. Let me just select the sales over here into the columns and the profit into the rows. Okay, so as soon as I do that, this is the chart that is highlighted, which is the scatter plot, and that is the one that is recommended. Okay, so this is the scatter chart over here that requires at least 2 or more measures to be present. Note that dimensions must not be present, or it could be present, it doesn't matter, but at least 2 measures must be there for the scatter plot or the scatter chart to be constructed. Okay, so this is how it's created, this is how it's looking. Let me just change it to the entire view so that we understand it in a better way. Here what do we have is this bubble present that is showing me the total profit and the total sales, right? So of course this is not something that we are looking for. So what we do is go to analysis and make sure that the segregate measures is checked off. Now when I take a look at these data points, I get the different data points. Like this data point represents that this much profit was there and this much sales was there, but again this scatter chart is monotonous. It is not giving us as much information as we want from it. So what we do is we get a criteria. Like suppose we get the category criteria into this color part. Now what happens? Now I get these different categories into different groups. Like this furniture is represented by the blue color. So this blue color is mostly concentrated over this region, right? So what do I understand is that mostly in the furniture, what do I have is the sales and the profit values are very low. However, if we take a look at the office supplies, mostly the concentration is on the lower sales and the lower profit. But the thing is that some of the orange marks, as you can see, are scattered over the place. That means the highest the sales are getting higher, the profit is also getting higher, but it is also a case that the profit is low in some cases, like this particular bubble, which is giving us a loss of at least $3,702. Third we have is the technology, which is actually the most spread category, and you can see it's giving us the maximum profit and it is giving us the maximum sales as well, although we are not getting any profit from the maximum sales that we have made, but still the maximum sales lies in the technology category. Also the most loss or the least profit, you can say, also lies in the technology category. So these are the kinds of insights that we are able to draw from this particular visualization, that is the scatter plot. In case you want different data, like along with profit, we also want the quantity data. Let's just drag the quantity data into here. So this is what we are getting. Let's just remove this profit. So this is what we are getting for the quantity data, right? That is the sales and the quantity. So how many quantities were sold at the amount of that amounted total to 22,638. That was a total of 6 quantities were sold. Whatever the product was a part of the technology category, and a total of 6 products were sold. So from this we can find out the cost or the selling price of one item that gave us the maximum sales, and so on. This is the kind of the data that we get from this scatter plot. Now how to make it more organized? If we just go to analysis and show the aggregate measures, now what we get is a much more organized fashion of the scatter plot. This shows us the total quantities and the total amount of sales that were sold in the furniture category, in the office supplies, and in the technology as well. This is giving us a completely different information. On a consolidated manner, we get that the maximum sales is given to us by the technology, although the quantities we have sold is not the highest in the technology. That means the pieces are expensive over here. Although the most things or the most items are sold in the office supplies category, but the sales is somewhat lower than the other two, right? So this shows us that the office supplies are cheaper, of course, which we know. that office supplies can contain the simple stationery items as well, which are relatively cheaper than the technological items. Okay, so this is the distinction based on category. If you remove the category and drop in say subcategory, then what happens? Now we are getting a very diversified information over here. Let me just reduce the brightness of the screen a little bit. Yeah, so now it is better to look at, I think, and here it is, these different things that we are getting. Okay, so these are the different subcategory wise data which we are getting. If you want some other data, like along with subcategory, you want say segment as well, so we can just drag the segment into the label. So it is giving me the different segments, like this is the data for the consumer segment, this is again the data of the consumer segment, this is the data of the corporate segment, and so on. So this data is also available, but that's totally up to you. In case you just want the subcategory names only, so that they would be visible to you. So these are the different subcategory names along with their bubbles showing the distribution of the sales and the quantities sold. Here we get that the phones gave us the maximum sales with a quantity of a little above 3000. However, most item that was sold was binders, and they gave us a kind of a good amount of sales. The item that was least sold is the copiers, that is only 234 copiers were sold in total, and they gave us a pretty decent sales. Still they gave us a pretty decent sales, right? Now all these insights can be drawn very easily. The least sales we got is from the fasteners, so we got the sales of around $3,000 from the fasteners, although a good quantity of the fasteners were sold. So this is the kind of the data we get through the scatter plot, right? Now let us move on to our next plot. This was all about the scatter plot. Let me just create a new sheet and rename it as Viz6. So this is going to be our next visualization, and it is going to be, let me just drag in the data. If you just drag in the sales, so I have this histogram that is available. Okay, I can just click on this histogram and it is created. Now what is this histogram? Histogram is actually a really good way to depict information, and what it requires is just one measure, not more than one, just one measure is suffice for it. Okay, now what does this histogram does is, as soon as I dragged the sales, this histogram created two things: the sales bin and the count of the sales. Now what is the sales bin? Let me just work with that sales bin. Here you can see this is something called the sales bin that has been generated. Now what is this bin? This tells us that what is the distribution of the sales amount. Like you can see, this is the sales bin and this is the count of sales. So this is the bin that we have created. If we just go to this entire view, okay, so yeah, I've tried to zoom in a little bit in order to get a better view. Let's see if it is working or not. Okay, let me just this is the histogram that's been created. This is the bin. As you can see, from 0 till 500 there is one bin, and its count of sales is 8,847. It means that it tells us that these, out of the total 10,000 rows that we had in our data, these many rows had the sales that was between $0 to $500. Next we have is 693 records, or 693 sales were between $500 to $1,000. Next we had 220 sales between $1,000 to $1,500, and then we had these 101 sales that were between $1,500 to $2,000. So this is the kind of the information that is depicted by a histogram. It is relatively important, relatively necessary whenever we are working with a single measure value, or we want to get the amount or the way the things are distributed in that particular value. Okay, so this is just a few introduction, or a brief introduction about our histogram. We will learn more about it in the next videos. Thanks for watching.